Salut, bienvenue à ton tuto de la prononciation aujourd'hui. Et on va regarder les homographes. Alors, qu'est-ce que ces homographes? Alors, méfiez-vous des apparences. Très courant dans la langue française, les homographes sont les mots qui s'écrivent exactement de la même façon, mais qui ne se prononcent pas de la même manière. So watch out, because it's very common in French to have homographes, which are words that are written in exactly the same way, spelt exactly the same way, but pronounced differently. Ils font partie de la famille des homonymes. So the homonymes. So we need to know what they are first of all, homonyms. And I've got some examples because quite often I get the impression people are, oh, French, French is full of all of these pitfalls. And let's just be aware of how many of them there are in English as well. So I've got 5 homonyms for you in English and see if you can just sort of like work out the difference in meaning. So we've got address and address. Okay, yeah, so address as in my address, I will address you, yes. Band and band, as spelt, both spelt B-A-N-D, band and band. So we've got band, haven't we, or band. Yeah, so completely different meanings. Bat and bat. Yep. Match and match. And mean and mean. So just to prove to you, and there's hundreds of them, maybe thousands in English, that it also happens in English. So let's have a look at the ones in French that might trip us up, or just out of pure interest, really, pure curiosity. So the first one we've got here is mes fils ont cassé mes fils. Pronounced differently, spelt the same. What does that mean? So, mes fils ne doivent pas être confondus avec mes fils. Pas de panique, on vous explique. So don't confuse the two. No panic, we'll explain it. Yeah, that's a great phrase in French. Pas de panique. Okay, les deux homographes sont tous les deux au pluriel. So both of them are in plural. Mais attention, le L ne se prononce pas lorsque nous parlons de l'enfant d'un parent, soit le fils. So a lot of people get this word confused actually with daughter, actually, because they think they sound the same. So une fille, un fils. But and also the fact that you actually pronounce the S at the end. But some, you just think of it as an anomaly if you like, fils. They pronounce that S. A contrario, il est possible de casser des fils à coudre en conservant le son de la lettre L. So, un fil, or les fils, are threads. And à coudre is to sew, sewing. So they're saying, well, you can break you can break a thread. So, les fils, threads. So exactly same spelling, completely different meaning actually, and pronunciation. This one's maybe a little bit easier to understand. Elle est allée vers l'est. So obviously we know that est is from être, yeah, and l'est means east. So she went towards the east. So here they said they're having a field day with this. Ne perdez pas le nord. Don't lose your north. Yeah, don't lose your bearings, they're saying. Elle est allée, she went, se compose du verbe aller conjugué au passé composé. Obviously, you know that, yeah, with the auxiliary être. And also in the present tense, it would be est as well. L'est, c'est un nom commun qui désigne une des 4 directions cardinales. So l'est is one of the 4 points of the compass. And then we pronounce it distinctively est. But actually, I mean, that's a really good point, because when people are first learning French, they kind of want to pronounce that in that way. But et l'est. All right, how would you pronounce this sentence here, and what do you think it means? Okay, so dans la cour du couvent, des poules couvent les œufs. Les œufs. So in the courtyard of the where the nuns live, yeah, the convent. Yes. The chickens are covering their eggs, which means that they're sitting on their eggs. They're getting ready to, they're warming them. They're warming their eggs. So couvons et couve. Now this is where we come back to, how would you just know off the cuff which one, how to pronounce it? The reason I knew exactly which one to pronounce and how wasn't because I read it in advance. It was because this one is the parts of speech, coming back to that again, yes? So this is a noun. So it couldn't be couve, c'est du couvent, and this is the verb, which comes from the ER verb couver, so couve. Okay. Excuse me. Je ne pense pas qu'il faille tenir compte de cette faille. Oh, right. So what does that mean? I don't think that he nearly realized his mistake. So these both are pronounced as faille. They're both pronounced exactly the same. Again, we can tell that one is a verb and we can tell one is a noun. Let's have a look. So, ça se complique. It's getting complicated. Les mots faille se prononcent exactement de la même façon. So both of the words faille are pronounced exactly the same dans les deux cas, in both cases. Un trompe-l'œil qui est à nuancer. So, a confusing thing to nuance. Qu'il faille est issu du verbe falloir. So faille comes from the verb falloir, conjugué au subjonctif présent à la troisième personne du singulier. So this is falloir in the subjunctive. So il faille. You don't really need to know about the subjunctive to know that. We're just really pointing out that you can have the same word said in exactly the same way, but with a different meaning. Qu'il faille est issu du verbe, une faille est un nom commun au féminin. So this is a common noun in the feminine. We can tell it's feminine because it's said to faille, and it means an error or a problem. So that's another way of saying I made a mistake, yes? J'ai fait une faille. J'ai fait une faille. So nous dirons donc bien faille pour les deux homographes. So they're pronounced exactly the same. Both of them are faille. All right. Let's have a look at some more. So, le mousse gratte la mousse de la coque. What do you think that means? Could you work out what that means? Yeah, a bit complicated. So let's have a look. So, n'inversez pas les rôles. Don't confuse the roles. Le mousse est un marin. So the mariners amongst you might know this word. Yes. So, le mousse c'est un marin. So this is a sailor. Alors que la mousse représente une plante verte accumulée sur la coque du bateau sous forme de tapis. What does that mean? So we're not talking about la mousse au chocolat here. It's la mousse is a green plant that accumulates on the bow of a boat in the form of a carpet. So moss, yes. Pour cet exemple, l'un est masculin et l'autre au féminin. So that's good to know actually, because sometimes you do have the same word, spelt the same, but one of them is masculine and one of them is feminine. Another example of that, they're not spelt exactly the same, but la cour with no S, C-O-U-R, la cour is a courtyard or a playground. Le cours, C-O-U-R-S, but pronounced the same, is a class, a lesson. Yeah, so, and we've got la tour, which is a tower, as in la tour Eiffel. And then you have le tour, which would be to go for a walk, to go out for a tour, to do a circuit. So there's quite a few of those where the masculine means one thing and the feminine means another. All right, how would you like to have a go at pronouncing this sentence, saying this sentence out loud? How would you pronounce it? Très bien. Excellent. Alors, il serait bien que nous éditions cette histoire pour en réaliser de belles éditions. Now, how can we tell that which one's which? Because this is a verb. So éditer, there we go, there's the verb éditer. So that's just an ER verb. So we know that with an ER verb we would go ion. Yeah, we can do that. And this one is a noun. We know it's a noun, so it's being described by an adjective here. And we know that when we get an ION at the end of a noun, it's chion, édition. Yeah, so we know that. So it would be good if we edited this story to produce some really good editions. Ils font partie de la même famille et se ressemblent comme deux gouttes d'eau. So they come from the same family, word family, and they look so similar that they look like two peas in a pod. That's what that expression means, deux gouttes d'eau. Ils se ressemblent comme deux gouttes d'eau. Mais ils ne se prononcent pas de la même façon, but they're not pronounced in the same way. La terminaison du verbe éditer, conjuguée à la première personne du pluriel du subjonctif présent, se prononce tie, tion. Les lettres te et i se prononcent. Yeah, so we're pronouncing the tion. Yeah. And we just said, when we see IONS on a noun, like la télévision, la communication, we know that we pronounce that differently. All right, another one. Would you like to try that one? How would you pronounce this? I think you got that right. So, tu as un as dans la main. Tu as, so again, this is avoir verb and this is a noun. So, tu as un as dans la main. And avis aux amateurs de poker. So those who know about poker would know about this. Yeah, it's an ace. Yes. So you have an ace in your hand. Okay, another one. So cet homme est fier. Hein? Peut-on s'y fier? Is that how you said it? Cet homme est fier. Peut-on s'y fier? So this man is proud. Can we trust him? So se fier means to trust. Pouvons-nous faire confiance à une personne orgueilleuse? So can we trust somebody who's very proud? Orgueilleuse is another way of saying proud. Fier is easier. Voilà une traduction de cet exemple dépourvu de toute apparence trompeuse. So that's that's the translation of that phrase, which, you know, is completely confusing. Fier est employé en tant qu'adjectif. So we go fier. Elle se prononce un peu comme hier. Hein? So fier, hier. And we pronounce everything in there, don't we? But when we get to the verb, ce n'est pas la même chose pour le verbe. It's not the same thing for the verb. Se fier, a little bit like piller. Yeah, se fier comme piller. Interesting, isn't it? And that's it. That's all of our homonyms. So let's just go back and have a look at them and see if you can say them, these sentences out loud. So the first one, do you want to have a go at saying that? Well done. Yeah. Mes fils ont cassé mes fils. Well done. The next one. Très bien. Elle est allée vers l'est. Excellent. Très bien. Dans la cour du couvent, des poules couvrent les œufs. Je ne pense pas qu'il faille tenir compte de cette faille. Bravo, bravo. Et celui-là? Bravo. Le mousse gratte la mousse de la coque. This is a good one, isn't it? This one here. Automne. Il serait bien que nous éditions cette histoire pour en réaliser de belles éditions. This one. Très bien. Tu as un as dans la main. And the last one. Bravo. Cet homme est fier, peut-on s'y fier? Bravo. J'espère que vous avez trouvé ça intéressant. Je vous remercie d'être venu et puis à la prochaine alors. Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous. Au revoir.